Hey everybody, this is Target of Carl back again for another movie spoiler review. And I'll be wrapping up the Clerks trilogy today with part 2 and 3. 3 being the first time I actually seen it because when it was out in theaters, where I was looking forward to go seeing it, but it was in select theaters, the one that was showing it that was technically closer to me, it wasn't all that close. I had to travel quite a bit, which is a shame because like the Clerks franchise, I think it was very fun. Uh, but anyway, I did my review on the first Clerks movie, which is up on my YouTube channel, youtube.com/talkativecarl. I give my thoughts on that film. Yeah, so you can check that out. Now I want to go with part 2. So once again, directed and written by Kevin Smith, uh, produced by Scott Moisier, stars Brian O'Halloran as Dante Hicks, Jeff Anderson as Randall Graves, Rosario Dawson comes in as Becky Scott, Trevor Fireman as Elias Grover, Jennifer Swallowback as Emma Bunting, Jason Mewes as Jay, Kevin Smith as Silent Bob, Jason Lee comes in as a cameo for Lance Dodds, aka Pickle Fucker. You got Wanda Sykes and Earthquake coming in as angry customers. And then, of course, we got a cool cameo from Ben Affleck as, a gawking customer. And honestly, I know, like, I know I've seen Rosario Dawson in, I'm pretty sure it was Jersey Girls or something like that. As another Kevin Smith thing, but it's like the only time I think Rosario Dawson really entered the zeitgeist for me personally was this movie. Mainly because he, says a line that to this day is freaking hilarious to me, and it always gets me every time I see it. It's so freaking funny. We'll get to it pretty soon, but anyway, and this of course movie is, was very successful, at least of the time when it came out in 2006. It had like a budget of $5 million, which rated in the box office of 26.9 million, which is very successful. Like, kudos. So of course it kind of like subvert your expectations a little bit because it opens the film in black and white, like your standard way it done so in the previous film, where it's like, oh, it's just gonna be shot in black and white. That's what we're probably used to in these Clerks films, or at least from the first Clerks film. That's what we expect. But at that time, Kevin Smith was working with like a limited budget, but he had like a particular reason, which I will mention in Clerks 3 as to why it was shot in black and white anyway. But now that he's a lot more established and made like a career as a director, he has more. He was given more of a budget to do. It wasn't a crazy amount of budget. He didn't need that crazy amount of budget, but it's definitely enough to where he can make it work, and it raked in like a hell of a lot more money. He definitely well more than he quadrupled the money back essentially. So Dante shows up at the Quick Stop. This is 10 years later, so he's in his early 30s, and he opens up the shutters. This time, not the locks are not gummed up by some punk kids. He opens up the shutters. The whole place is on freaking fire, which it's like, it's kind of weird considering that you will see crazy smoke butting out of the building in some way, shape, or form. But he actually had to open up the shutters to see all the flames spewing inside. So that's when the color starts pouring in, when he starts calling the 911. Then we see Randall Graves just, Randall is totally like, I really like Randall, but he's just like, you know, anything that's outside of himself, he rarely gives a crap. He's so not caring about anything outside of himself that he just completely used to just walking towards the quick stop, completely ignoring the sirens and the firemen and the fire truck, and just waltzes on in the quick stop. And Dante just looking just bewildered, and the fact that this dude just walks on in, without even paying attention to what the world around him, outside of him. So he hilariously gets tossed out by the fireman who's trying to take care of everything. And it comes to realize, Randall left the coffee pot on the night before. So a year goes by. They mentioned it being like nearly a year, and they got new jobs at these movies, uh, fast food restaurant. So and the manager being Becky, who's taking over supposedly temporarily in her father's stead because he is recovering from cancer and everything like that. And at this point in time, Dante is in a relationship with this woman named Emma. Matter of fact, they're engaged to be betrothed. And she's super hyped for it. She got like her parents, she had this all planned out about them moving to Florida, and Dante's taking over like this car wash business by her father, and even them giving a house to live in together, which, on paper seems like a pretty sweet freaking deal. Personally, I kind of wish, like, Emma's a little hotter. That's me personally. But it works for, Dante probably thought it was she's hot, but uh uh then you get you meet Elias, who's like a super, like, you know creepy Christian kid, uh who obviously is a virgin, and obviously like has some kind of, you know weird made up girlfriend who you don't even know if it's, real or not. Money on it, she's probably not real. It's just a new person that Randall can just like kind of pick on for the most part. And I love that. God, there's another fun scene that to this day uh I love, and it's Star Wars related, of course, but this is like, not too long after the prequel trilogy had came out, and of course it left a bad taste in our mouths at the time, but of course we wasn't none the wiser about, what George Lucas, his pitfalls and the actual skills that, Hayden Christensen can actually pull off, but with the crappy writing that he had at that time, is little that he can actually work with. So we was blaming him for a lot of mess that wasn't really his fault. We all know the story. Same way with the actor who played Jar Jar. After like the Mandalorian and everything like that, we get to see the actor, really show his stuff in like a different performance altogether, as pretty much like an apology tour to the people who got crapped on by the prequel trilogy. Anyway, so uh uh um I love the scene where it's like you just see these A-list stars just pop up for no doggone reason, and it's like not hacky. It's just like a just seems so organic and nonchalant. Like Emma just pops up at Dante's place of business and just jumps over the counter to make out with him while Dante is taking Ben Affleck's order, and he is like just so like really. And he just Randall just chimes in like, "Avert your eyes, you perv." And he's just like, "It's unsanitary." That's all I gotta say. And he just just walks out. I just really appreciate it. And of course, we know that for a time after this, the friendship between Ben Affleck and Kevin Smith was a little rocky. They since made up, but it it's funny how like things change over time. Uh, so uh, later on, and not too long after Emma leaves, because Randall giving her, Emma, Randall giving Emma crap about, because he's obviously deeply like bothered the fact that his best friend will be moving away, and he's can't really express it in a more healthy way. He's got to do it in like a dickish way, which is funny to me. But as soon as Emma leaves, uh, 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 Dante and Becky have a oh right as Becky's coming into the building, uh, these three have like a big discussion about like ass to mouth, because Brando talks to like the 18 plus year olds that come in after school, and Randall hits on them, and he points out that they like ass mouth. They girls these days are really freaky. They be into anything, and Dante uh is totally against like ass to mouth. You never go ass to mouth. That's not my idea. They want you to go ass to mouth. And he asked Becky like, uh is it appropriate for a guy to go ass to mouth? Like, you never go ass to mouth. And then like she pulls Dante to the side and it's like, she's like, sometimes in the heat of the moment, it's perfectly fine to go ass to mouth. And it ran over here. It's like, huh, I knew it. It's their dynamic. The chemistry is so freaking funny. It's so on point. Oh my god, it's so the dynamic is hilarious. Uh, but later on, Dante and Becky had just like a private conversation while he is putting on nail polish on her feet, and it as the conversation goes, you start to know that despite Dante being engaged, him and Becky had a one night stand one night when it was late. It was like at least as it documented in the film, it was like at least a few weeks prior. Showing that they actually got like strong feelings for each other. And then they had this discussion on true love, and according to Becky's point of view, that there's no such thing as unconditional love. I mean, like, you can love your parents, you can love your dog, but two people can't be like hopelessly romantic and in love with each other unconditionally. She doesn't believe that. But I love that whole line was subtle, but it's just like that. It's like somebody saying something that's true, that they probably wanted to keep if they would have constantly catch themselves, they would have not said it. But as she's just going on, she feels so comfortable speaking with him. She listen to things that you can love your parents, you can love your pets, like I love you, and just like she just let it out like that. And of course, you didn't know up to us until up to a certain point. You don't know like what they did, but you can tell these two. Well, the fact that he's putting on nail polish for her, you can just learn from body chemistry. These two are really feeling each other on more than just a physical level. And then here comes like the funniest moment, what really made me love Rosario Dawson. It's just how funny she is. When she's getting kind of catty about Emma because she points out the fact that, you know, she's dictating a lot of stuff, leaving little room for Dante to make any decisions for himself or part of the relationship. She and her parents pretty much are running the show, and you know, leaving Dante little choice on his part to make. And she get this line like, come to flirty with me and I'll fucking bring down. It's just I'm not doing a good service, but you know the freaking line, you've seen the movie, and just the cattiest lines he says. It's just the catty way she's doing it. It's just really freaking funny. It just, you know, this the mocking of the tone is just really good. It's really good. It's made me laugh. While that is going on, you know, once again, Randall's, you know, messing with Elias as he's pointing out how, like, you know, because Elias likes Transformers, he loves Jesus, and then his other third passion is Lord of the Rings. Now, this is where like Randall is speaking to my soul, because I totally agree with his point. Because you know, Elias points out like his love for the Lord of the Rings, and Randall's like, God, it's idiotic to him. But then a customer walks in to place order, and Elias mutters to himself, "One ring to rule them all." And then the customer, you know, chimes in, "One ring to find them." And I still remember to this day as I saw this scene, and it's like, I said at the exact same time as Randall said it. It's like, oh God. It's like, oh my God. And then they pulled out their preciouses, and they start these two start naming like how many times they've seen each of the Lord of the Rings trilogy. And like, I only saw each one once each. I never gone back to the franchise like that. I'm not really a fan. I appreciate the franchise. I can respect it, but it just wasn't my jam. I've never been like a Shire guy, okay? But I know certain references, so like I know, but I just never like got super into it. Like Randall, I'm a Star Wars guy. That's just my thing. I got super into that one as a kid. So as they go off how many times they watch each of the trilogy, and Randall's like, you know, there's only one return. Ain't of the king is of the Jedi. And it's like, the guy's like, oh, Star Wars geek. I'm like, fuck you. Talking about like Star Wars geek ass. And then Randall points out in front of at least a couple of customers how like you know, where everybody points out how like you do all this, it's just three movies of them walking. Don't even you haven't even gotten into the whole point about the whole Eagles thing. You can easily fly there. Of course, since then they kind of explained that, but I think that's cap. Like, you know, you kind of covered your ass basically, because there's a big giant gap in logic with that, where you could have just flown there, but you spent three movies walking just to get to a volcano to dump it in, and it's like, and that's pretty much at that time that's all the movie. uh but then he points out about, like, you know, Sam and Frodo and that. And honestly, he was kind of right. You know, Sam did give him kind of a gay look in the film, and it's like, I still remember to this day, I was like, why are you looking at him like that? It's so weird. As they jumping up and down on the bed, and it's like, the whole entire scene was so freaking weird. I don't know why they let that shot linger too, and it's like, it's kind of, even RuPaul would think that was gay. I'm sorry, it was kind of gay. This is, it's not like a defamatory towards actual, you know, the homosexual community or anything like that. I'm just saying, you know, if they written differently, these could have been a homosexual couple. Let's be honest with you. The way they was sitting there gazing at each other longingly, like the way they shot it's a weird shot. I'm sorry, you can't help but think that. But then this bothered the Lord of the Rings customer so much he ended up puking on the floor. I'm not sure why they made him puke, but he just got that mad. That made Randall's day though. But what else happened? Later on, of course, Emma shows back up again to, like, you know, hand out like wedding invitations and what have you. But you know, then one later on, an old classmate of Dante and Randall named Lance Dowds, who made some kind of you know, like an app or some kind of a tech thing that he sold to Amazon for millions of dollars. So of course Randall teases him with the fact that his nickname throughout high school was Pickle Fucker, because freshman year, it was pretty much like a hell week kind of thing, where like the seniors at that time would pick on the freshmen and they do various things to them, but Lance got the worst of it, where I think they stripped him down naked, shoved a pickle up his ass and made him walk 10 feet. If the pickle falls out, he has to take a bite of it and start over the 10 feet walk, pace walk again. But then it kept falling out, and so he kept having to, like, taking bites until it eventually fit, and so you can completely walk the 10 feet. But then of course Lance fired back about how, like, you know, wow, you guys still working, you know, dead end jobs like the quick stop, while most of us have grown up. And it's like, this really gets to in Randall's feelings, where he and Dante leave out to go karting to, like, you know, so Randall can clear his head a bit. When they come back, it's like a, you know, super busy. And then Randall, after just having a conversation while preparing like food for Wanda Sykes, an earthquake, Randall just blurts out the word porch monkey, and I can say that because I'm a black guy, and it was a very disparaging word, which obviously upset the black customers and obviously Becky as well. It's like and then of course Becky has apologized to the customers and give their food for free and blah blah blah, and they leave, and Dante and Becky chew out Randall, and Randall's sitting there defending himself, where it's like grandmother said it all the time, and this where she refers to anybody who was like like me. I was sitting on the porch, being lazy, not doing nothing. And then he starts rattling off, and like, of course, this wouldn't fly to this day, except if you're Tarantino. But they actually have Randall and Elias use the N word because Becky and Dante points out there's a racial slur, and Randall's like, that's not a racial slur, and he actually used the word, the N word, and I'm just like, wow, they let it go, okay, and it's like, oh god, but I'm not gonna get a bug on my butt. It's art, it's the context of a film, and they tell like a story, so you kind of like, it's not like an actual thing that's happening, but it's just like, it's a word it's not okay to say if you're not a black person, and even then black people shouldn't probably use it, but we have that luxury. But in the context of this film and the story being told, you can you shouldn't get a bug up your butt about it. And then Elias like, did like Mr. Randall use, and he says the word, and it's like, shut up, Elias. And of course, Becky storms off, and then Randall says like, I'm gonna reclaim the word porch monkey, and it's like, can't do. Dante is like, can't do it because you're not. Even if it could be slave, you can't do it because you're not black. And it's like, look at you telling me what I can't do because of the color of my skin. You're the racist. It's like, wow, oh my god, that turnaround is really funny. So later on, Becky and Dante had a sit down, because Dante is a little nervous because he doesn't know how to dance, and he doesn't want to embarrass himself at the wedding reception. So Becky takes it, Dante on top of the roof of the building. It's always a thing where in the Clerks films, they got to go on top of the roof to do some stuff. So she gets Jay and Silent Bob to play on their boombox Michael Jackson's, or at least the Jackson 5's ABC song. And she teaches Dante how to, like, bust a move. At the same time, Randall, but of course you get the whole Randall, like, do the Randall dance kind of thing. But he also sets up this. Oh my god! Oh, I almost completely forgot about this, because it's a couple of times when Randall's on the computer. Like, he's on the computer where he's gonna be set up like a kind of like a bachelor party type of thing for Dante as like a going away present, as this kind of donkey show where a girl's supposed to do some kind of freaky crap with a donkey. But earlier, Dante, it becomes a running joke right now, because Dante wondering like what's he doing on the computer. Randall's like, oh, there's this guy in a wheelchair who's trying to like guilt people about their because he lost the ability to walk, and he essentially, as Dante points out, he's just finding like an outlet to pour his heart out. And it's like, oh, so you trying to make me feel bad because you're in a wheelchair? And so Randall, just being a troll, is like one of the earliest trolls. It's like, oh, I just go on this long diatribe about how like I like to take a drive by the end of the block and just sit on my butt all day, and just to mess with them. I was like, for no reason. You know, just picking random fights with strangers just because. I mean, like, God bless them. I respect the hell out of it. It's like, it's so effed up, but God, I respect it. Like, and then uh and he says like he treat me like I'm Anne Frank or something. And it's like, Anne Frank, the girl who's deaf, dumb, and blind. uh no, that's Helen Keller. And Frank is the one who hid from the Nazis. She wrote a diary. Oh, and then so he was come a running gag about, like, like, you're freaking Anne Frank. What? It's funny, but as uh Dante and Becky are dancing, and he confesses his love to her, and she tells him she's pregnant, because earlier in the film she sees open up her mail and she sees like something that astonishes her. And now Dante is like, you know bewildered right now, because he tells uh uh Randall that, you know uh Becky's pregnant, and so he can't just up and leave, because he doesn't want to sit there and, like, knowing that he has a love child in Jersey and living like a separate life in Florida as real scummy. And I love the way Randall points out, it's like, how is it this, oh, you always got like two girls fighting over you and you just an ugly chud. And it's like, it's so freaking meta and funny. It's like, like in the previous film, you got two girls fighting over him for no unexplicable reason. And Dante makes Randall promise not to tell anybody, because she doesn't want anybody else to know. But of course Randall blurts it out and she gets embarrassed and drives away. And Randall, knowing that the Kelly and the Sexiest does about to pull up, he convinces him to go after her for like an hour, so that way he can set up the surprise. And then he didn't catch up to Becky, but he comes to the conclusion that, yeah, I'm going to figure something out, but I'm not leaving. I'm going to do the responsible thing and raise his child. So he calls the ambulance again, because, or at least 911 again, because he sees like smoke coming in, envelop the movies, and he thinks it's another fire. He runs inside and sees like this whole stage set up, and Randall says, oh, this is a surprise. And then they come to realize that Kelly is the donkey, and the man who Randall thought was some kind of pimp was actually the sexy stud, and he's actually going to have sex with a donkey. And so well, Elias is high and drunk. Becky shows up, and it's like, what the heck is going on? As Dante's trying to express his true feelings for her, and they go back inside just to finish watching this, because this is a kind of weird shit. But then as they Becky and Dante kiss passionately, Emma just pops up without saying nothing, because all throughout the day, as you go through like the door, you hear like this, like, how like a bell chimes in certain stores to know when somebody's coming in and out the door. It goes a moo sound, and it's like, you don't hear, unless I wasn't paying attention because of the song of the Sexy Stud was playing for his performance, unless that was drowning out the doorway and I just couldn't hear it. They completely ignore that, and she just pops up, tosses the cake she made for Dante on him and throws the ring at Becky and leaves. Then the 911 shows up, and they see like, all this crap going on, and sees Randall with, him redoing the back of his movies button up with the word porch monkey on the back. And okay, you got Kevin Michael Richardson as one of the police officers. Porch monkey. I was like, don't worry, I'm taking it back. Of course, they all get like put in holding. Of course, they're not gonna get charged or anything like that. But uh Randall and Dante has like an argument where uh Randall points out uh that, you know, Dante isn't, you know, satisfied with his current life because they, as it mentions, he did try going to classes, you know, after the events of the first movie, but he didn't stay too long. He ends up going back to the quick stop, and you know, now that he's in his 30s, is probably like one of like he's not satisfied on how certain career choices, and you know, because seeing something like Lance Dow's, where it's like they move past minimum wage job status, where now you should have like a sound career, you know, that you know make like a business for yourself, which leads Randall to just blur out like, you know, because Dante asks like, what would you do if you were in my position, since you have all the answers? I will buy the quick stop and run it for myself. And of course, if you watch Jay and Silent Bob Strikes Back, and they was some kind of movie set and whatnot, and they got money residuals from that, they offered to you know, put in the money for them to buy up the store, with the caveat that they're allowed to do whatever they want outside of hang out outside of the store without them calling the cops on them. And so Randall and Dante decide to run a business together. Dante goes to Becky to propose. She accepts. She's clearly pregnant, and they open up the quick stop, fresh and new. And now, it's as the camera pans out as they're leaning over the clerk desk, it pans out and it goes, and the color fades to black and white again. And you see that old milkmaid woman from the first movie still pulling out, like, you know, the, you know, far in the future expired milk. And I really enjoyed this film. It's really fun. Uh, a nice, you know, new character dynamic, and it's always like, you know, a 10-year gap of like different struggles and life choices. You know, when you're 20s, you're trying to figure yourself out. 30s, you know, trying to, you know, settle on something to do with the rest of your life. And then of course in the third film, you're in the 40s, and you know, trying to like, you know, settle more like family kind of thing, and facing like mortality. I think the trilogy really had like a impressive arc going on, but we'll get to the third one in a minute. But yeah, I think personally the first one is my absolute favorite. And there's parts of, well, yeah, I do really enjoy the second one, but I think there's certain parts that I think really is a lot more elevated compared to what we see in the first one, because they have more budget to do certain things. I love, like, you know, certain unchanging, only slight changes of Rando, with the fact that he's, you know, willing to express how earlier he couldn't really fully in an adult way, express how he would miss Dante, because he says like, I don't like making new friends. I can't make new friends because I cannot stand people like that. But you're the only person that, you know, who is the counterbalance to me. And with your, if you end up leaving, I, I just can't see myself making new friends, in my 30s. Like, I can't deal with people. Showing like emotional growth with these characters, including Randall, where it's like he sees Dante more so as family than just a best friend. And the fact that he just can't see himself like, going solo. So I really like, that level of growth with the characters, like something like that with Randall, and of course Dante, who is trying to figure out like another position in life that he needs to settle on, because he still like has like a issue, as ever since he mentioned in the first movie, when he's talking about his, when he was 3 years old, he can't learn to shit or get off the pot, or at least, learn to deal with an obstacle so he can learn how to shit comfortably. And so he's always letting certain, when he gets in a comfort zone, it's hard to get him out of it in a way. But anyway, uh, yeah, and there's always like a thing in the third act of these films where Dante chews out Randall, blaming him for certain choices. That at the end of the day, it's his choices. You're a grown man. Randall, despite his chaotic nature, doesn't make you do anything that you already choose not to do or choose to do. Dante has to take ownership of certain things, and he oftentimes he uses Randall as like an easy kind of scapegoat to, have like a at the ready excuse as to why something bad happens to him. As like in the first movie, it's like, oh, it's the boss's fault. Like it's like he made him come to work, but at the most he tricked you, but you at the end of the day still went. Despite your constant complaints about you shouldn't be working today. And here it's like, Randall didn't make you quit the semester because it got too hard because you wanted to study criminology and stuff. And make you continue to work at the Quick Stop, where you could have chose to do anything else that might have been more satisfactory to you so far as like a career, something that's beyond what you feel like you want to do, but you haven't figured that out yet. But anyway, I think that's like a cool like arc with these two guys. But I will see you guys in a few minutes to talk about the third final trilogy to the Clerks franchise. Like and subscribe, share those with your friends. I leave a comment below, let me know what you think of the Clerks franchise. And later on tonight, I will be playing more Tekken 8, the story mode. So look forward to that. And yeah, beyond that, in case I don't see you, have a great the rest of your afternoon. Peace.